Executive producer, Evan Goldberg. Executive producer, Sam Catlin.
Oh, thank you.
The preacher himself, Dominic Cooper. And occasionally Howard Stark. Let's see, as the ultimate badass ex-girlfriend, Ruth Negga. He's an Irish vampire who just wants to party, Joseph Gilgun. Let's see, and in a surprise addition to the panel, we have preacher comic creator Garth Ennis. All right, Garth, since this all started with you, I think we should start with you. What was the original inspiration for this comic back in 1995?
Thingy. It was pretty much every American movie I watched as a kid, every TV show, every novel, every American story I ever read or saw, and I just threw it all into the mix, boiled it up, and that's what came out. Let's not forget the man who can't be here today, Steve Dillon, who drew every single episode, which is an incredible feat for a comic artist. He sends his best wishes.
And did you ever think that it would get a Hollywood adaptation?
There was a degree of interest straight away, but I mean, it's been a long old trail to get this far. We went from movie to TV, back to movie to this. But it seems like this is the right time for it. I think TV has finally caught up with comics.
And for the producers, as Garth just said, this has had a long history. There was going to be a movie at one point. There's going to be an HBO series at one point. What drew you to this, supposedly, very difficult to adapt project?
We were fans of it. Me and Evan, grew up together and read a ton of comic books, and we read the comic book from when it first came out. And literally, like, as soon as we had any power in Hollywood, we tried to make it. So for the last 10 years, we've been trying to make it. It's always been in the hands of more successful and more talented people than us. Somehow they all fucked it up, and it rolled downhill into our laps somehow, which I'm very grateful for. I think it was just persistence. I think we always just made it clear that we were interested in it, and we're very vocal about what big fans of it we were, and we were really just in the right place at the right time, I think. But we were in the trailer while we were filming Superbad was the first meeting we ever had on Preacher. And there was a lot more since then. And then they would give it to Sam Mendes and stuff like that, which I totally think is a much better idea than us. So,
was it always going to be a TV series, or did you go back and forth on that?
We kind of were going where what it seemed like they wanted, honestly. Band of Brothers had just come out when we were pitching it at first, so we thought maybe that was an approach to it, like a big epic 10-hour miniseries or something like that. And then we thought, then superhero movies started to get more popular, so we're like, oh, maybe we can get a trilogy or something like that. And then cable TV became awesome, and so it actually became the perfect format for it. Yeah.
What were some of the reactions you got pitching this around town over the years? I mean, I know originally HBO was sort of oh, it's too dark, too controversial to potentially do.
We didn't really get to pitch it. We said, do you have any interest in us? And people would say no.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we would meet the people who controlled the rights for it, but we never actually we never got to pitch it until the time that we pitched it with Sam, and they made it. Yeah.
So what was the casting process like going into this?
It was tough.
Yeah, Dominic was not easy to find. It was a really, really long search. Every character was hard to find, but
they were
in particular...
all really... Dominic, Joe was, a real find. He is a psychotic vampire, so that's helpful. No, I mean, the casting process, yeah, it was, you know, these are kind of iconic characters in our heads at least, and we really wanted to do them justice. And I think of all the things, you know, we're kind of maybe diverging from in the comic, the characters are the things that we're doing that with the least. And so it was very important to find people that really honored these people that we had, you know, been visualizing for, you know, a decade, basically.
Let's see, Dominic, you get to play some real drama, you get to play some dry humor, you get an awesome bar fight. I mean, what sort of most excited you about going into this project?
Everything did, really. I didn't know the comics that well, actually. I'd heard of them, and I found the script, and I read that and thought, I have to have something to do with this, whatever I could do to make that happen. And the character, I felt, again, I didn't know enough about, and as I leafed through these wonderful, elaborate comics, the more I worked out about him. But it was definitely a process, and talking with the guys when I met them. And I'm constantly uncovering more and more things about him. I find, yeah, the darkness and the stillness and the complexity of him and his background that's what I enjoy discovering. And then all the other stuff on top of that has been very enjoyable. But each script I read, I learn more and more. But it's a constant dialogue, and I'm constantly finding more out about him.
Yeah. On the spectrum of accents, doing a West Texas accent, is that sort of on the easier side, or is it on the tougher side?
It hasn't been easy. I mean, I feel awful sitting here in Texas, but it's a work in progress. It's a work in progress.
You watched a lot of Friday Night Lights. That was the best.
I did. I watched them all, and it was great.
More like Coach Taylor. That was our big direction all the time.
That's all they gave me, nothing else. That was the direction.
But Ruth, you probably have the most crowd-pleasing, or at least one of the most crowd-pleasing scenes in the pilot, with the car fight and then the scene with the kids. I mean, was that fun to shoot, or was it like you spending like 2 weeks in that same back seat doing the same things over and over?
No, I think it was pretty swift, wasn't it?
I think it was like around 4 hours that we filmed that in.
Oh no, so much fun. It's so much fun. She's just, you know, when I read the script, I thought, oh, please let me play this character, because, you know, it's usually kind of the boys that get to do that, isn't it? And, you know, people just think that girls aren't capable of extreme violence. And I just, you know, thought I had the potential to be handy with a corn cob, so born to play this role. No, it was absolutely thrilling, and we're in the throes of filming the season now, and it just gets even more exciting, and if that's possible. And you know, just we kind of we meet Tulip. She just unfurls more and more in such an unexpected, exciting way. It's deep. It's a deep pleasure.
And part of it, what makes it really work, that scene, is the sort of sunniness that you also bring to it. And is that something was that your choice? Was that in the script? The sort of upbeatness that you brought?
I'm not sure. I think it's quite explicit that Tulip goes about her business not reluctantly. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to bandy about, you know, mental health terms, but, you know, I don't think I think remorse for Tulip is not, I don't know, it's something that she quells, but she does have an extreme sense of that justice should be served, but it's her sort of justice that gets meted out. I think I think that she's very much sides with the underdog, because I think that's who she identifies with.
Right. And for the producers, obviously this started shooting last May, and you wrote it long before that. But after shooting the violent, funny Tulip car fight sequence to You're So Vain, were you frustrated to see when Deadpool came out and they had their, you know, violent, funny car fight sequence set to Angel of the Morning?
There's space for everyone, man. Long live Deadpool. Good for him.
We've both ripped it off of other movies, I'm sure, so.
Let's see. Joseph, we've seen many vampire and vampire-like characters over the years. Obviously, yours does not sparkle, and he can apparently walk around during the day. What kind of creature, I mean, what can you tell us in terms of what kind of creature you're playing at this point?
What kind of creature? Well, not too dissimilar to who I am, to be honest with you. I'm a terrible drinking drug addict, so it's not really, you know, I'm not having to dig deep or anything, you know what I mean? It's been, can we swear? Yeah, it's been fucking awesome, man. Honestly, I've got a lot of time for it. It's one of the better jobs I've ever had. It's being paid to be an arsehole for the whole day. Yeah, I've not made a cup of tea since getting out of here. I can't open doors anymore. They'll hold a bloody umbrella over your head so the sun doesn't burn me. How would you say? Vampiric? That's not a thing.
Yeah,
vampiric.
Yeah.
My vampiric scalp. I've not really answered anything. What did you ask?
I'm not sure it actually matters. I would see, what was it like shooting that scene in the private jet cabin? Does that look like a lot of fun?
It were hard work. Everyone got hurt. Them fight scenes take like a good couple of weeks. I've just been fighting recently with Anatole.
Don't say.
And Tom. I've not said characters though. I've done all right there, Anna. Getting away with that. Well, basically, I punched Anatole in his nose, in the bridge of his nose, man. And I need Tom in the nuts with no cupping. So what you don't see, you see all that stuff, but what you don't see is just endless injuries. Like strained groins, people being punched in the nose. Oh, you got me in the nose a little bit there, mate. Yeah. Fucking really hard, actually. Oh, God. So you don't see, but it's the best fun. It's the best fun, doing the fight scenes. And there's this new breed of stuntman that's not like, hey, you know, they're all young men who are really enthusiastic and make us all look really, really cool. So props to them guys as well.
An odd microphone shortage at South by. Apologies for that. So people are always fascinated by the differences between, you know, the comic version and a film version, a filmic version of a story. What are some of the biggest shifts that you guys have had to make along the way for the producers?
Biggest shifts. Well, it starts in a different place, as the fans probably have noticed. What are the big shifts? Jesse's dad is a preacher. There's sort of challenges that we have because the comic starts going from at 200 miles an hour and goes about 300 miles an hour, and it doesn't really sit in any one place. Yeah. And because we're on the television show, we have to be in one place. So for the first season, we wanted to kind of localize it in this little West Texas town. But the world of it, hopefully the comedy of it, the action of it, the characters of it, all should feel like Preacher. And I think if for Preacher fans, if they haven't seen something, or if they're like, well, what's going to happen? Oh, they're not doing that. They're not doing that character. Oh, just give us time. We're going to get to all the great set pieces and characters.
Yes.
We're getting ready to open it up to fan questions. There are microphones on the aisles if anyone would like to start lining up to ask. Did anyone say anything about you know, whether you should or should not explode Tom Cruise?
Oh, it's amazing. They never said anything. I think everyone was waiting for someone else to say no, and now it's too late.
I will run into him one day, though. That will happen. And I'm going to have to explain that. I'm coming up with a way in my head to make it seem complimentary. I haven't done it yet, but I will.
Do you want to go to the first question?
Sure. Hello. First of all, I'd like to thank you guys so much. That was an incredible, incredible show, and especially thank you to Seth and Evan for being persistent and passionate about it and working so hard to bring it to us, because we are definitely the people who we're the rewards here. It's amazing that we're getting this. My question is for the actors, because I'm a fellow actor myself, and one of the questions I constantly get asked is, what kind of role do you want to play? And a lot of times I use Quentin Tarantino as an example and say I'd love to do anything in any of his films, because I love the type of violent, comedic, but there's still a storyline that's featured in his movies. And a lot of actors that work with him describe working with him as like an actor's playground. And so you, Dominic, especially, you've been in Marvel films that's also considered to be an actor's playground. So working with this kind of material, the producers, the writers, and the characters you guys have to work with, what are you learning on this project, experiencing in this playground that you haven't learned from previous project and that is preparing you for future projects?
You guys better give a good answer to that shit.
Well, I think...
I could ask a different question.
For me personally, I've never worked on something that we will be doing for such a long period of time or for such an expansive time. And I think that, yes, as you say, it is like a playground, and we do get to do everything you could possibly want to do. But at the center of that is a really incredible story and beautifully rounded, well-written characters that you just couldn't ask for more. So even though we have such fun, as Joe was just saying, you know, getting in, doing all the big, elaborate fight sequences, which are excellent, you also want to pair that with, as you're, I don't know, you're training at the moment, or you want to just sit down and have a scene and discuss human emotion or whatever it is, but you just want to talk. So, and those are the scenes, I know, from a personal point of view, I've been loving playing and doing, and aside from that, but also discovering, because it's for such a long period of time, and more being unveiled, really, and learning more about this person. We've got if you're doing a film, you have a tiny little window of opportunity to learn and to show as much about this person as possible. With this, there's so much more to discover for ourselves. For me, that's what I'm finding really very, very exciting.
Thank you.
Let's see. And would you like to go ahead?
Hi, great job, everyone. I had a question just about in terms of like shooting schedule. Are you allowed to like the same amount of days per each episode, or does it vary on the specifics of the episode, or is it just like the whole season is X amount and just use it as you wish?
They give us 8 days per episode, but we sort of used, like, I think we have a couple of 7-day episodes.
Yeah, we just finished shooting the second episode,
yeah,
and it was 7 days.
7 days.
Which was a goddamn nightmare.
It's a nightmare. Yeah. That's the most painful question.
Yeah,
It's
7
not
or
enough
8
time.
days. 7 or 8 days. Yeah.
Thank you.
This didn't give you many clues as to what the week-to-week is like moving forward from this. Can you give some hint in terms of what the characters or story is like the week-to-week beyond the pilot?
Hell no. What are you talking about, man?
No, we ain't gonna do that.
So go ahead.
I feel like one of those weird Michael Jackson fans before they got touched and they're gonna like pass out or something.
Sam does that, yeah.
So stoked to see Ruth Negga as the role of Tulip. When I first read the comic, I was like, man, I really want to play like Tulip, but she's blonde, so I'm really happy that you guys strayed from that. Do you do your own stunts?
99%.
A lot of it, yeah, almost all of it.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, you bit that dude's ear off.
Well,
yeah.
for the other 1%, I do breakdance. So if you go by Scoot In for the Lagunitas party, I'll be doing a breakdancing grandma character.
Ooh.
Dope.
Ooh.
Come in, maybe we can talk about maybe doing the 1% for you, or
Sure.
give it like a breakdancing teenage pass. I don't know. Well,
Yeah, I don't know.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Let's see.
What just happened?
So you go ahead.
Hey there, Dominic Cooper, you were awesome in Devil's Double.
Thank you.
Anybody who hasn't seen that movie, you need to check that out. This is for you and the other actors. Starting with Dominic, you've worked on
Some stuff.
You've worked on some really big
cafes.
movies, but now that you're doing episodic TV, how is that with expanding and having more time to develop your character?
Thank you for explaining exactly what I was trying to explain before. You put it in much better words. Yeah, I'm learning about it now, and I didn't actually hear that question. But did you ask? Were we getting to see any of the future work? Like, do we know? We kind of know what's happening. We know about 4 in advance, and we've all had conversations about where our character's going. But still, you learn a lot as you're going. I'm really enjoying the process of it, and yeah, the room you have to maneuver. There's just more time. There's loads of time for discovery, and I think it'll be very interesting, as it is when you go back to other shows that you love, when you watch the pilot and you see how much a character has developed and how differently the actors are playing it through really interesting choices that they've made in terms of discovering for themselves. And with the collaboration, you have much more collaboration with the team. We're always having conversations and we're always talking, and that's very, and being part of the creative process. That's what's exciting, because you finally have time to do so.
You have to.
You're the man, Seth.
Hey, where are you? Are you down there? Sorry, I've interrupted. Fucking hell. I'm used to Sana. Do you know what I mean? Go on, love.
Mine, short and sweet, is ours phase prosthetic or CGI?
It's prosthetic. We could never afford that in CGI. That costs like 400 grand. Yeah, it's a prosthetic rig built by K&B. They do our effects for almost all of our movies. They do The Walking Dead, and they're incredible. And that guy's Ian Coletti is his name. That poor little fucker has to wear that shit on his face. It sucks, and he's really has a positive attitude about it. But I know it fucking sucks. But it's amazing, and he's able to, emote a lot, even with the thing on his face. He's a trooper, that guy. He's a real trooper.
Go ahead.
All right, so I'm going to ask the Texas question. Of all the things you could have changed about this show, obviously, one story arc of the comic is called Gone to Texas. Jesse Custer is from Texas. Annville's in a real town, but what are we going to learn about Texas, and how important is Texas to this show?
In this room, we should be saying it's the most important element of the entire show. Some would say the cornerstone upon which the whole show is supported, the buttress upon which the foundation is covered and protected. It's a big part of the show, though. Seriously, it is a very big part of the show, and if you're a Texan, I think you'll enjoy what we're doing for you. It'll just say the word Texas in big letters on the screen a lot, so if nothing else, you should like that.
So go ahead.
My question's for Seth and Evan. What exactly is your writing process? Obviously, you've written a lot of different types of movies and shows, and what kind of gets you started on a project?
Well, every project's different. On this one, Sam is the actual writer of the pilot, and we co-created the show with him, and so we sat down, and Sam actually taught us a lot on this. We wanted to go to outline right away, and Sam said, no, let's just talk in a room for 3 months. And that's exactly what we did, and we just met every day and talked and talked and talked until if you asked one of us a question or the other, the answer would be the same.
Yeah.
And then we went out.
Yeah, we had no experience creating a television show, and Sam had worked on Breaking Bad for years and years and had firsthand experience doing our favorite show, basically. And so, yeah, it was incredibly educational to see how you construct an entire TV series.
Yeah, just even the one thing that Sam taught us, which is you don't know which character is going to be a favorite. And so you can't choose it. In a movie, we know, people are going to like McLovin, let's put him in the movie a lot. In this, we don't know, so you kind of have to be a little more patient and hold back and reveal less. So, Sam's a big old brain.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Think we have time for a couple more?
Hi. I was just letting you know, I've loved this comic since I was in middle school, so I've been a big fan. I was just wondering, I guess, what inspired you guys to change certain things of the comic, such as the era or Tulip, or giving it that comedic edge to it? Because I remember it was gory, but I don't remember comedy.
It was funny. The comic is very funny.
This just means you're not demented.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone here who's been laughing is a little demented.
Exactly. I literally turned over to, during the screening, I was like, whoa, we're in the room with the most fucked up people I've ever been in a room with. It was a lot of things. I think what Sam said before, the narrative of the comic just throws you into it. And I think with a TV show, we talked a lot, even with Garth, about how that would be maybe a startling way to start a TV show, and you don't maybe have time to build up the characters and to learn about them in the way that you would want necessarily, But again, we're huge fans of the comic, so it's really been a balance of how do we make a TV show that's great and still do all the things that as fans of the comic we would want.
And as Sam said, like, we're ramping up to what you know more.
Yeah, exactly.
We came in a little earlier than the comic, but we're coming to, you're not going to be like, what about this character?
Yeah,
what about that character?
I agree,
They're all coming.
I think as the show goes on, it'll become more familiar to people who are fans of the comic book, basically. Yeah.
And we have time for one more question.
Hi, I'm a high school senior, and I drove all the way to Houston for this whole film festival.
Nice.
It took me a lot to come up here.
From Houston.
Yeah, well, I'm getting ready to graduate, and I want to go into film and television. So I was just wondering what it takes to, like, Seth, I'm a big fan of your work, so this is so interesting. It's so different, and what it takes to like do stuff, like to show your talents and be creative, and like, what do I do? You know?
I give the same advice to everyone who asks me that question, which is just make your own stuff. Like, a lot of people have written a screenplay that like takes place in space and would cost $500 million to make, and they're like, no one's ever heard of them, and they're like, why won't they make my movie? I was like, because it costs $500 fucking million. Make something that you, I mean, like, now, like, you can buy a camera that's as good as the one that we shoot this show on, you know? It's very accessible these days. I don't know if you've seen this movie Tangerine, for example. The whole thing's shot on an iPhone. It looks incredible. And so that would be my advice, is do it. Like, the people we work with in comedy are almost all people who self-generated their own stuff. The Workaholics, you know, the Broad City Girls, they're all people who created their own thing and then did it themselves, and then people noticed, like, hey, they're good. We should pay them. And so when that's out there, when that's your competition, you're competing with people who are out there just making their own shit right now. And so that's what you got to do, is make your own stuff, and if it's good, people like me will try to make money off it.
Awesome.
And you have to have sex with a lot of people.
Yes, a lot of people.
Anyone who wants it, you
just do it. Yeah.
All right.
You don't question it, you just do it.
Just do it. So you'll be meeting me and Evan afterwards.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Witsy, and that's all that we have time for. And on behalf of everyone, thank you so much for premiering this at South by Southwest.